primarily delivered through hub and spoke distribution. Packages are collected at many locations and flown to carrier hubs, where cargo is sorted and loaded for flight to smaller airports near destinations. Hubs handle a great deal of cargo air traffic and feature huge overnight sorting operations. Like air carriers, air cargo operators maintain a fleet mix to satisfy their needs for time-sensitive delivery. Due to the sheer volume at any given fleet mix, individual cargo carriers are the best source for information on their specific fleet. The two largest cargo carriers, FedEx and UPS, have developed specific ARFF training media for their fleets. Much of the information they provide can be applied to understand generic cargo aircraft information. UPS is also a member of the ARFF Working Group and conducts an active training program for ARFF departments in the U.S. and around the world. The sessions cover crew and cockpit procedures, cargo operations, aircraft configurations, and ARFF best practices. Work directly with the individual carriers operating at your airport. Hands-on training and demonstrations with cargo carrier personnel is a valuable training tool and absolutely vital in regards to emergency planning. The cockpit of a Boeing 757-200 series aircraft can be accessed through the L1 door and the pilot's window on the right side. In the UPS configuration, seating capacity is 6 occupants. The flight deck of a Boeing 747 is on the upper deck and can be accessed through the crew and service door on the right side, the overhead escape hatch, or the L1 entry door located on the main deck. 747s can accommodate 8 to 12 occupants, and some have additional exits near the rear of the upper deck. The cockpits of the Airbus A300-600F series aircraft can be accessed through the L1 door and the 2 operable cockpit windows with emergency descent devices. The seating capacity in the UPS configuration is 7 occupants. The cockpit of an MD-11F series aircraft can be accessed through the L1 passenger door, the R1 service door, or a designated chop-out area in the cockpit clear view window. Seating capacity in the UPS configuration is 7 occupants. Some larger aircraft may have seating modules and/or crew rest modules. Boeing 747s are designed with overhead sleeping modules. Boeing 777s, DC-10s, MD-10s, and MD-11s have sleeping berths and/or seating modules located aft of the cockpit. The MD-11 sleeping berth will block the L1 door if extended. The 747 berths are in the aft crown. Configurations may vary depending on the distance from the bulkhead. Most aircraft are equipped with communications between these modules and the cockpit. ARFF crews must be familiar with each configuration providing service at their airport. In addition to the cockpit, any of these areas may be occupied during an accident or incident. In addition to the crew, there may be additional lives on board a cargo aircraft. A supernumerary is an occupant of an aircraft who is not part of the flight crew, including animal handlers or airline personnel not part of the crew. Lavatories are available to crew and supernumerary riders. Supernumerary riders may have an interphone to the cockpit. You may also find modules containing racehorses or circus animals. Livestock are usually accompanied by supernumerary handlers. Depending on the aircraft, livestock modules may be located fore or aft of all positions. Many cargo aircraft in use today have been converted from passenger aircraft. On those aircraft, the L1 and R1 doors may still be available and may have escape slides. However, cargo aircraft are not required to have contrasting color outlines around passenger doors. Other than the primary cockpit entrance, remaining doors may be inoperable once the aircraft is converted to a freighter. Aircraft that were originally built as cargo aircraft rather than converted from passenger configurations may not have R1 doors. Clearly, there are no overwing exits. Some L1 doors may not have escape slides. Those that do not will have inertia reels. Aircraft that have been converted from passenger to cargo configurations may have the same primary exits, but overwing and secondary exits may be paneled over. Mid-cabin doors could be bolted closed, as they are never needed. They are painted over with no outline, as required for a passenger aircraft. If there is no power to the aircraft, it may be necessary to operate the doors manually. On many narrow-body aircraft, like the MD-80 or Boeing 737, this can be a simple procedure. Some narrow-body freighters, like the Boeing 757 and all wide-body aircraft, require a somewhat involved process. In any case, manually opening cargo doors may not be the best course of action. The cargo doors of aircraft that remain upright after landing, especially those with failed landing gear, may be extremely stressed and nearly impossible to open. Attempting to open cargo doors could distract limited ARFF personnel from more pressing tasks. If manual opening is chosen, your cargo carrier, the aircraft manufacturer, and the ARFF database can provide crash charts, which will include detailed descriptions of actions required to open doors manually. After releasing the locks, many of these doors will require inserting a drive into a door opening mechanism to manually open the door. A speed wrench can be used to open these doors, but some doors will require hundreds of revolutions of the wrench. Certain battery-operated speed wrenches can be useful in this process. The drive size may range from 1/2 to 3/8 of an inch. Typically, aircraft manufacturers advise against using these tools that operate at greater than 500 RPMs, as higher speeds may burn up the door actuator. Check with your cargo airlines for specific recommendations on the best tools to carry. Small cargo aircraft operated by independent carriers or feeder aircraft operated by the large carriers may be entirely hand-loaded. Cargo bays may have cargo nets to separate loads or prevent weight shift. These aircraft will have manually operating cargo doors. Cargo containers are loaded onto aircraft with elevators, moved with casters, and locked into place. Cargo is moved in unit load devices, or ULDs, which are often pallets or containers, also known as cans. A single aircraft load can consist of cans, pallets, or other types of ULDs. Each ULD is identified with a unique number consisting of a 3-letter prefix, a 4- or 5-digit serial number, and a 2-character alphanumeric suffix that identifies the ULD's owner. Because ULD numbers appear on the cargo manifest, understanding them can help you visualize an aircraft's interior space. The ULD prefix can be used to look up the ULD's height, which can help determine the piercing locations. ULD reference charts can be obtained from cargo carriers or online. In addition to the ULD number, the position on the aircraft is also identified on the manifest. Each cargo position is numbered from front to rear and may also have left, center, or right designations. A ULD number on the cargo manifest that ends in 4R indicates that the ULD is in the cargo position 4 right. The terminology used to describe belly positions may vary from operator to operator. Some of the common terms identifying cargo bays include MCD, main cargo deck, FLB, forward lower belly, ALB, aft lower belly, ABK, aft bulk area, and BC or BP for bulk compartment or bulk pit, the area behind the aft lower belly where loose bags may be loaded. Any belly positions may be referred to as a pit or compartment. For example, the aft lower belly, or ALB, may also be referred to as the aft lower pit, or ALP. Lower cargo bay ULD positions are also identified by position. Forward bay designations may begin with an F or FLB, and aft bays with an A or ALB. ULD positions are still numbered sequentially, from front to back, and have a suffix R or L to indicate right or left. A1L would indicate the aft bay, position 1 on the left side. FLB2R would indicate the forward lower bay, position 2, right side. Some cargo aircraft may have as many as 4 lower cargo doors. Check with the carrier representative for configuration information. The cargo deck and crew area are separated by either a bulkhead or a barrier net, known as a 9G net, designated to keep cargo from sliding forward into the cockpit bulkhead during emergency maneuvers or crash landings. The distribution of weight is of vital importance, since the position of the center of gravity affects the stability of the airplane. When loading an airplane, the center of gravity must be within a permissible range and remain so during the flight to ensure the stability and maneuverability of the airplane. Cargo carriers may have equipment or accommodations in the ramp to stabilize an aircraft during loading operations. Nose tethers, tail posts, or especially equipped dollies equipped with counterweights may be useful tools to help stabilize an aircraft during emergency operations. Check with the carriers to find out what type of equipment they have and if it can be accessed during an emergency. Cargo being shipped must be properly labeled. Labels are printed hazard warnings that identify primary and subsidiary risks specific to the material. They also identify handling instructions. Cargo packages may contain dangerous goods, also known as hazardous materials, regulated articles, or restricted articles. By law, shippers must label dangerous goods in accordance with 49 CFR 172.400-450 or IATA DG rules. Carriers must verify that packages with declared dangerous goods are labeled appropriately. Labels identify the hazard class of the labeled material. There are 9 hazard classes. Hazard Class 9 covers materials that present a hazard during transportation but do not meet the definition of any other hazard class. Firefighters may not immediately think of these materials as dangerous. For example, dry ice is a Hazard Class 9 material according to both the U.S. Department of Transportation and the International Air Transport Association. Dry ice is hazardous during transportation because it releases large volumes of carbon dioxide gas. This gas can be exploded if packaged in an airtight container. It can also cause suffocation if released in a confined space. As a cryogenic material, dry ice also causes severe frostbite upon contact with the skin. In addition, dry ice is often used to preserve biological material that may be hazardous itself. Magnetized materials also fall into Hazard Class 9 because they can cause compass deflection or interfere with navigation equipment. No magnetized materials that can cause compass deviation at a distance of 7 feet or more can be transported by air. Hazard Class 9 materials are common in cargo operations, and our firefighters should be aware of these hazards. Additional handling labels may indicate cargo aircraft only materials, magnetized materials, and packages containing liquids. 14 CFR Part 139.319J requires that each ARFF vehicle be equipped with the North American Emergency Response Guide, commonly referred to as the ERG. The ERG is distributed by the Department of Transportation and is available from the Office of Hazardous Materials website, or by calling 202-366-4900. The ERG is an excellent reference for first responders during the initial phase of a hazardous materials incident. The ERG enables ARFF personnel to look up hazard classes, proper shipping names, and other information about dangerous cargo listed on the cargo manifest. Every piece of cargo on a cargo aircraft is listed in the cargo manifest. An additional Dangerous Goods Manifest, or DG Manifest, identifies all hazardous cargo. The Notification to Captain, or NOTOC, is a document that informs the captain of any dangerous goods. Firefighters must know how to quickly obtain and understand manifests and NOTOCs. NOTOCs are not carried in the same location on every aircraft, but are commonly found in seat back pockets in the cockpit or on the lavatory door just outside the cockpit. If able, the captain will leave the aircraft with the NOTOC, but emergency circumstances often do not permit this. If manifests and other important paperwork are not immediately accessible, you can contact the air carrier to obtain the information. Work with the cargo air carrier at your airport to determine the best numbers to call and the fastest method of getting the information to your command post. These 24-hour direct numbers were provided by carriers as point of contact and sources of information for incident commanders during an emergency. Bear in mind that the DG Manifest only describes declared goods. Some shippers may illegally ship dangerous goods without notifying the cargo carrier. Let's look at a typical Dangerous Goods Manifest. This is a manifest for Flight 1463, which is flying this flight leg on the 7th day of the month. The full date of this flight leg is April 7th, 2009. The flight originated in Memphis, and its destination is Atlanta. The aircraft is an Airbus A310-200H configured for 22 cargo positions. The tail number of the aircraft is November 431 Foxtrot Echo. Next, the manifest lists the hazard class, description, and weight of each dangerous good carried. The list of goods is divided into 2 categories, accessible or inaccessible. Accessible dangerous goods are loaded in positions accessible to the flight crew. Inaccessible dangerous goods are not accessible to the flight crew. The first section of the DG Manifest provides a snapshot of the dangerous goods on board. For each ULD, the dangerous goods position summary identifies the position, ULD number, and the hazard class, description, and amount of dangerous goods contained in the ULD. Each ULD also has its own ULD DG Manifest, which lists the individual dangerous goods carried in the ULD. The UN/ID number identifies each specific dangerous good. You can use the UN/ID number to look up dangerous goods in the ERG or other hazmat guide. The ICAO drill code also identifies dangerous goods and can be looked up in the ICAO Emergency Response Guidance for aircraft incidents involving dangerous goods. The listed proper shipping name of the dangerous good should match the name associated with the UN/ID number in the ERG. The ERG entry for a given UN/ID number provides the information related to fire or explosion risks, health hazards, public safety information, protective clothing required, evacuation measures, and emergency response guidance for fires, spills or leaks, and first aid. The hazard class is listed next. Maleic anhydride is a Class A corrosive material. The shipment's weight in kilograms is also listed. To convert kilos to pounds, multiply the number of kilos by 2.2. In this case, 4.9 kilos equals 10.78 pounds. The number of pieces of the dangerous good is listed next. One piece can refer to one box, one bag, one can, etc. Finally, the ULD-DG manifest lists the shipper's name or reference number, as well as an emergency telephone number provided by the shipper. This number is a critical contact for specific information about their dangerous goods shipment. Material Safety Data Sheets, or MSDSs, provide more detailed information about individual products. Many MSDSs can be found online by searching for the proper shipping name. They can also be requested from the shipper at the emergency telephone number on the DG manifest. Properly packaged and handled, dangerous goods will remain stable and safe. However, direct flame exposure, heat, damage to packaging, and even the force of water streams can release hazardous materials. Once released, each product presents its own hazards, along with the hazards caused by products mixing together. In addition to dangerous cargo, many components of the aircraft itself can release additional hazardous materials during combustion. Firefighters must be careful to evaluate the DG manifest and situation and work with the airline, shippers, and hazmat technicians to manage dangerous goods. Once you have an understanding of how cargo is packed, loaded, and labeled, you can apply ARFF training, tactics, and strategies to cargo incidents. As with any ARFF incident, accurately assessing the incident is critical. Decisions made in this stage set the tone for the rest of the incident. There are several factors you must consider. Starting with the initial call to report the emergency, communications should factor heavily into your assessment. Communications